Well, hello there, Friday night gang. It's Denise Salcedo and Robin Lundberg, and we are here to talk about WWE Smackdown. It is Friday, October 11th. You're listening here on Speak Now Pro Wrestling. Robin, we're back. How are you, man?
Well, I'm good. I'm doing whatever people really want to do on a Friday night, which is talk pro wrestling, what the cool kids do, right?
Exactly, man. Exactly. No, dude, I gotta tell you, it's funny because so we just went back to a 2-hour Raw, right? We haven't had a 2-hour Raw since Raw 1000, so it's been a long time. And when I was watching Raw this Monday, I kept thinking, like, damn, there are so many commercials. Like, it doesn't feel the same way that SmackDown does. And then I thought, you know what? I'm gonna pay like extra attention. And I personally felt like the SmackDown flow tonight was phenomenal. And I'm like, if the Raw 2-hour flow can be like the SmackDown 2-hour flow, this would be even like an easy breezy show. But I really like SmackDown tonight. I had like 8 reaction videos because there was just a lot of moving parts on the show. And given how we ended Bad Blood with The Rock and Roman and Cody, I truly had no idea what to expect on the show today. What'd you think?
Yeah, no, I think there's still a layer of unpredictability as far as exactly how things are going to unfold. They did advance in the direction we've been talking about for a minute now, like the whole Bloodline Civil War. Really, they started dropping the breadcrumbs, or they're not even breadcrumbs. They're right in your face, glaring signs about who might be involved in this going forward. But, I think that part was cool. Obviously, the KO thing, which we'll get to, is another layer. I really like what they did with the women tonight and involving multiple players in the picture. So definitely a good show that flowed. I think maybe with Raw, they were doing a 3-hour show. So because they were doing a 3-hour show and they were trying to balance everything within the mechanisms of a 3-hour show, to then have to lose an hour and go to 2 hours makes it a little bit more difficult than SmackDown's been kind of a well-oiled machine in that format for a minute.
Yeah, and you touched on that too, because hey, you brought up a really good point. And this is something that I was thinking about during the show was how basically you have, your bloodline storyline, right? You have all of what's going on with that. But then on top of that, so you have the Roman Solo Sikoa aspect of this. Yeah, that's one story there. Then you also have the Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton portion of the story. You have the women's stuff with Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. They somehow involved Rhea and Liv here today, but then you have the LA Knight storytelling. It just feels like there's a lot of stories on SmackDown that we're like you said, we're seeing them advance. And I feel like that's why SmackDown was a good show today, because there are multiple stories to follow along and multiple reasons to care about the show. So I really liked what we saw here today. And I feel like that's part of the reason that it was a successful show tonight.
Well, yeah, and to the point of some of that, like, it just made sense. I thought the way that the women's match went down, because I'm thinking it in my head, all right, well, Naomi needs to win now. It's not a title match. And, Liv is trying to start a beef with Nia Jax ahead of Crown Jewel. And you're starting to see that pay off. Because I thought that was a cool twist, by the way. You and I haven't talked about that yet. The Crown Jewel announcement, where it gives that PLE an identity, right? Like the Rumble, you're going to get 2 Royal Rumbles, and Money in the Bank, you're going to have Money in the Bank matches, so on and so forth with various shows. I always felt like Crown Jewel, other than the history of and where it is, had always kind of felt in recent times like a glorified house show, one of those glorified house shows. And now it has an identity. Oh, at Crown Jewel, you're going to get champion versus champion. So I like the way that they mixed in the Liv Nia Jax thread with that. Obviously, up the top, Roman getting involved, who cracks me up. Roman's facial expressions are hilarious. They always get me. And then the Kevin Owens thing, what I like about that is he didn't just like flip. He's kind of like crazed. He feels he's justified and he's like manic in a sense. We don't know exactly what's going on with him, but he didn't go like, obviously he's a heel now in a sense, but he didn't go full heel where he's just like declaring war. He something snapped in his head. And I like that aspect and bringing Randy in now too, because I don't know where Randy's going to wind up at the end of it.
There's a lot of stuff to be excited about right now. So I'm really feeling hyped about a lot of what we're going to cover today. Let me go ahead and get into these super chats and see what everybody's bringing out first and foremost. Want to thank Dan Jackson for becoming a brand new DWO member. We got Sheldon Jackson here who says Motor City Machine Gun debut next week versus Humberto and Angel, plus possibly challenging God for the tag titles right off the bat. I'm very intrigued by this development. So this was technically not confirmed, at least not during SmackDown, but it was teased, I feel, that they're, so they said, so this is what's going down. So Legado del Fantasma went up to Nick Aldis and was basically like, hey, we want a shot, we want some opportunities, blah, 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 right? And he basically said, like, okay, I'm going to be bringing out a special team. It's going to take on Angel Garza and Humberto, right? And then on top of that, later on, there was another segment where we saw DIY and the Street Profits, and they're arguing. And Nick Aldis also mentions another thing about another team coming in, a brand new team coming in. So this definitely looks like it's the Motor City Machine Guns that are going to be coming in and facing Humberto and Angel Garza, because yeah, that's sort of the only team that I can possibly think of the second that he said it.
And then they seem to have a lot of hype around them coming in, right? Even just the package got people excited when there had been people sort of knew, right? It wasn't like a revelation when that promo dropped. That people knew that they were on their way there. So that'll be it'll be interesting to see just how much hype they put around it, because I feel like a lot of the fans are anticipating that.
No, they definitely are. And I know that I've talked about this like on other shows too, but I still cannot believe how long it's taken for WWE to pick up the Motor City Machine Guns. I mean, it has been forever. So it's going to be kind of weird, I think, to see them in the WWE landscape. Like, it's going to take a second. Like, got to readjust my eyes for a second to see the Motor City Machine Guns there. But I'm excited because of everything that both Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin have done together in the business as well as individually in the business. So for me, like, I don't know, it's gonna be exciting, but it's also gonna be a little bit strange. But I'm curious to see how they sort of mix up, how they sort of spice up the tag team division and how they mix in with the tag teams that they already have, because I think it's been a while right now since fans have truly felt excited about the tag team division. I know that the triple threat ladder match that they did last time was fairly good, but I still think that the tag team division needs a lot more life in it and a lot more teams that people are invested in. Because Robin, like, I'm not invested in the tag team division right now because I don't feel like I'm necessarily like clamoring for one or two teams. It's sort of just like, I'll take it for what it is, but I'm not really expecting anything more. So now with the addition of the Motor City Machine Guns, it's sort of adding another element to it where I'm curious to see what it's going to look like.
And they come in as a tag team specific, but you're right. I mean, it's really been since the Usos and KO and Sami Zayn. When was the last time? I mean, no disrespect to anybody else who had the belts, but it didn't feel like they had gravitas or were important. They were sort of being tossed around, and you had some matches. Some of them were cool, some of them weren't. But it wasn't since the Usos had that long reign, and then Sami and KO took it off them at WrestleMania a couple years ago, where the tag titles were elevated. So it would be nice to see the tag division elevated in a sense, and to get a tag team. When's the last time a tag team came in the door? You know, usually it's an individual that's being promoted, or even a faction. But I can't recall off the top of my head the last time a tag team was promoted coming in the door.
No, I can't either. And like, you're talking to the person, Robin. Like, I would not be here right now sitting down talking about wrestling at all. I would probably not be a fan because I'm that person that grew up like in the TLC era. And that was part of the reason why I became a wrestling fan. I was like, oh shit, the Hardy Boys are so cool. Edge and Christian are so freaking cool. Like, that was my cup of tea. Like, that's what intrigued me about pro wrestling and had me seated. So for me, we've come a long way from that, of course, but I want to see more of that incorporated into the tag team division, because to me that's just hella cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, the TLC at what is 17, right? One of the greatest matches of all time. The Dudleys, the Hardys, and Edge and Christian. I'm older than you though, Denise, because I came up on the Hart Foundation and the Rockers and the British Bulldogs and Demolition.
I know. You know what's funny? When I said that, I was like, poor Robin. I saw it in your face. You were like, damn.
Yeah.
That's when she came in. That's when she got started. But it could be worse. You know, in a few years from now, who knows? We could be doing a show with somebody, you and I, and they're going to be like, oh yeah, I started becoming a wrestling fan when I don't know, the Usos. And to me, that's, you know, super young. So that would be crazy, but it's gonna happen at some point.
I mean, it happens to everybody, but I'm not ashamed of it. I got to see Bret Hart go from a tag team guy to Bret Hart. I got to see Shawn Michaels put Marty Jannetty in real time through the damn barbershop window. So I can live with that.
That's true. Hey, you know what? That's what, like, to me, that's part of what makes things like better. Like, I don't care about like where I came in, or if I didn't come sooner or later or whatever, because hey, like you said, you get to see things in real time. I would have been so freaking upset, Robin, if I was born way after WrestleMania 17. Like, I would have been pissed. Like, I missed that in real life. And so, yeah, so I get it. And obviously, there's a lot of things from the past that I had to watch in reruns, or not reruns, but I got to watch later on that I didn't see in real time. And it sucks.
I remember The Undertaker's debut in real time. Or
yes, I wasn't there for that.
Yeah, here, look at that ham hock right there. That's what Roddy Piper said when he was on the $1 Million Team. I remember it.
That's amazing. I can't even imagine like how that must have felt too, like when you're seeing somebody like The Undertaker come out, because at that time, you know, how old were you? You were super young. So you're probably thinking like, holy shit, this man's going to kill everybody.
Yeah, I had to be under 12. Yeah, so I was probably like 8 or 9 years old, something in that realm, but it definitely stuck with me. And that was the same one. I think they had the big egg, because I think he thought he was going to come out of the egg at one point, but he turned it. But it was enough, Denise, where in his debut, I didn't obviously know he was going to become what he became, but there was enough of a sell and a curiosity factor around it that it felt like you were watching something that could matter later. And maybe I didn't identify that feeling when I was that young, but retroactively, I can sort of understand the feeling that I had in my loins.
No, you can tell, like, even going back and like watching like old videos of The Undertaker when he was first like in WWE, my favorite thing about him was, right, like he would come out, right, and his skin's so white, like pale white, and they show shots of little kids in the crowd and they're just like stone face, no reaction. They're not even clapping because they're just like in awe of what they're seeing. So like, I think that kind of covers the bases in terms of how we all felt. We have Kevin Zwicker here who says, do you think Rock will make WrestleMania this year? So I know that was something that was put out there earlier today. I really hope that we do see The Rock at WrestleMania, especially because everybody's been asking, like, oh, what's the WrestleMania match that you're expecting to see? And my two options were The Rock versus Roman or Rock versus Cody. So I don't know what a WrestleMania this 41 looks like without The Rock, because it feels like those are two of the big matches that we were sort of anticipating.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would say The Rock would still be a part of WrestleMania. And here's the main thing. The Rock is going to be a part of a program. I mean, he didn't come back at Bad Blood for... We're now past the time where he would come out and be like, hey, it's me. I'm The Rock making an appearance. He came out with a purpose. I thought we might get more of it tonight. Obviously, we didn't. But you did see, you know, whatever the count he was doing. There was the social video of Solo saying this is all part of the plan. We know we've been building towards these collisions and these mega matches. So let's just say we're living in a world where The Rock isn't at WrestleMania. Well, then one of those matches is happening at one of the other events. I don't know what movie he'd be doing that would conflict so heavily with WrestleMania where he couldn't make it work. You know, I'd have to look at his schedule, but I would still bet on him being at WrestleMania. But besides that, he's going to be around a lot. And I have to keep coming back to the point. The Rock is not an employee. You know, he is on the board. The better the WWE does, the better it is for him. You know, not from like, oh, we're doing well, here's a raise, but from, you know, the stock and everything that he is actually invested in. So his best move is to put himself out there.
Hell yeah, man. He benefits himself, benefits the company, benefits all of us. We got Dream Ninja 77 who says, I am hype. Motorcity Machine Guns, one of my all-time favorites. And I always tell this story, but one of the first wrestlers I ever saw wrestle at PWG, like back in the day, Robin, was Chris Sabin. And I remember just watching him. I think it was him and Chris Hero, or like him versus Chris Hero. And I was just like, what the hell? Like, I thought it was one of the coolest things I had ever seen, right? But I was so like amazed by his skill. And then that's like a few years later, I started watching TNA, and that's sort of, how I discovered the Motor City Machine Guns, and then discovered Alex Shelley during that. But I had discovered Chris Sabin first through PWG. We got Kevin Zwicker here who says, oh, old head Robin.
I mean, I guess at one point I was the young guy. I feel like I'm in a sweet spot right now, though. Like I'm in, I don't know how long that lasts for, but now I'm like a veteran. I'm like a veteran with wisdom and experience, but I'm also young enough where I still get the, the lingo and the cutting edge and all that stuff. So maybe I'm just justifying and trying to boost myself and reason my way out of being close to death. But
I like how you just went from like, I'm happy to be my own age, but I'm also really close to death. Why would you say that, Robin?
Comedy.
My secret, Robin, is to talk to younger people so they keep you in the loop, because that's my fear. I don't want to someday be so old that like I'm like, what is this? A computer? I never heard of it. Like, I never want to get to that. And sometimes I feel that way when people talk about TikTok. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know this person. I don't know this trend. I feel so old.
But you know what? It's okay, because you don't have to know all that either. What I think I'm actually pretty good at, and this is for real, is identifying what I actually need to know versus what I can just not give a fuck about, right? and that's what I do. So there is some of that stuff like, you never heard of that? No, and I don't need to. It's never going to impact my life. But I will identify the stuff that, oh yeah, I should know about this because it's actually in the zeitgeist and isn't here today, gone tomorrow.
Okay, that makes me feel better because, so this weekend was particularly odd, as most wrestling fans know. We had AEW and NXT on Tuesday, which meant there was nothing Wednesday night. Obviously, nothing Thursday night that I was watching. I wasn't watching Impact, sorry. But look, the point is that Wednesday night and Thursday night I had open, okay? I didn't know what to watch. I just wanted to break free. I didn't want to think of wrestling. I just wanted to watch like other stuff. And I felt so old, Robin, because you want to know what I chose to watch?
Yes, I do. What made
the History Channel?
Oh, wow.
That made me feel really old, because I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like only older people watch the History Channel.
Yeah, at least you weren't watching.
I was Nick that person.
Night, right? Here's why it was double old. Were you watching it on cable? So
I was watching it on Hulu, so I was watching old episodes that they have on there. I forgot what it was called. It was like Haunted Horrors or something, where they talk about like, it's like a documentary about like past things. So I watched one on Charles Manson. I watched one on the Salem witch trials. And so that's what I was doing.
Getting into the mood for Halloween kind of deal.
Exactly. But okay, yeah, now I'm old. All right.
You watched it on Hulu. That makes it a little younger.
I guess. That's true. I don't even know what channel History Channel's on cable. We got Stephen Marchuli here who says, do you have any interest in a three-way with Rock, Roman, and Cody? I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I've always been a bigger proponent of one-on-one matches, especially when it comes to like headlining WrestleMania. To me, I prefer the one-on-one.
I'm going to say a triple threat, but Rock, Roman, and Cody. Yeah, I think that's one of the various possibilities, right? Like, you got Rock and Roman, you've got Cody and Roman, you've got Cody and Rock, and you've got Cody, Rock, and Roman. Why not do all of them if you can? It all hinges on the Rock's schedule, really, and how many dates he's available for. So if I knew that in advance, I would tell you which ones, I'd power rank them and tell you which ones I want to see more than the rest. But until I know that and can rule it out, give me all those, because the Rock would only be involved in. Well, I guess he'd be involved in three of them. He's not doing three matches. That seems like a lot of matches considering he just did the one for the first time in a long time. But if that's also a better way for him to go about it, because he can hide a little bit in a match like that, then I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, that was like also something that I feel we saw with the tag team match. Like, oh, that was such a fun match at WrestleMania. But again, like, you had the extra people there to kind of, do a lot of the work to where it's not just you. We have John Taylor here who says, I still remember as an 11-year-old seeing The Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez at WrestleMania 9. And it kind of blew my mind, even if it was a crap match. No, I get it, man. I 100% get it. Because when you're a kid, you don't know that something's, I mean, maybe sometimes you do know if it's crap, but sometimes you don't.
It's that feeling you have. You knew Giant Gonzalez was crap. He had the furry, like, whatever was going on. Was that at Caesar's Palace? I think.
Yeah.
That was the outdoor
They
one.
ended up wrestling twice afterwards. Yeah, or twice or 3 times. I feel like I've seen that match more than once. For
You know, it was another one that, like, I remember as a kid, like, just feeling like something's not right here. Was when Bret Hart fought Yokozuna, and then Hulk Hogan came out afterwards to take the belt off of Yokozuna right after the match. Like, it just felt something was wrong in what had just transpired.
Yes, 100% agreed. We got Crazy Cool D here who just became a brand new member of the DWO. Welcome. We have John Taylor who says, there is only love for History Channel here.
Well, it says John Lennon.
Good.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, we're not alone. We're not alone for all of our History Channel buffs here. Alvin White Jr. says, do you think we get Rock versus Cena one more time? I mean, we're down to the end for John Cena, but I don't know that we need it, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's a great matchup for either guy for a few reasons. One is they're both a little, we're talking about my age, these are older guys. So one older guy against another older guy makes it a little bit tougher from a matchup standpoint. Plus, there's no upshot for either in that. They've done it. They had their big monumental matches. So if we know we're at the end of John Cena, why have him go against The Rock? Unless you're just making The Rock look really strong again. I mean, The Rock looked strong against Cena at WrestleMania, even putting him down with the Rock bottom on night 2 in that interference fest. But I just don't see that, unless that's the case where you're just really trying to make The Rock look strong. And we know Cena's been down to do the job for that. I'd rather see Cena go out on top in his last little run here, and The Rock to stay involved in the things that he's involved in from a storyline standpoint, and let them each do their own thing.
Yeah, WWE is so hot right now, and things I've been looking up for the company, right? I just don't feel like they need to go back and rely on nostalgia this doesn't need to happen. Like, we don't need to see it. Like, we've seen it, we're good. And personally, like, for The Rock, again, I want to see the new stuff. Like, he doesn't have that many matches that he can still do, obviously, because, he's a lot older. So I want to get the matches that we haven't seen, that there is that appeal, that intrigue in, and that's Cody and that's Roman. And then with John Cena, I know there's some feuds that people want to see him sort of rehash, one of them being Randy Orton as a final match type of thing. And I think that's fine because obviously Randy is still, continuously active, probably looks better than ever. And then on top of that, I want to see John Cena wrestle all of these new guys that we never thought he would probably wrestle. So I really want to appreciate those guys for different reasons and see them take their time and use their time, because their time is valuable. Use those times for different reasons and not necessarily have to rely too much on the nostalgia factor.
I think the floor is lower than the ceiling is high for a Cena and Rock to run it back, because things could go wrong in the ring. Things could go wrong for either guy where it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Like, this was it. That was the end. So I think the floor is lower than the ceiling is high.
John Taylor says, does Cena win the Rumble? I'm going to say no. I don't
Roman
think
wins
so.
the Rumble.
You think Roman wins the Rumble? I don't have a pick for the men's yet. I really don't.
I'm picking Roman 100% right now.
I'm not going to start picking until maybe December. In December, ask me again once we're closer.
I'm picking Roman now. In December, I can change my mind.
You're like, in October. I said that in October, bro. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into our big topics here for SmackDown. Of course, I want to kick things off with the Bloodline because there's a lot happening here. So we kicked off the night with Jimmy Uso being acknowledged by Roman Reigns. It's so weird seeing Roman Reigns acknowledge somebody else. I should correct myself, by the way. He did not acknowledge Jimmy Uso. He acknowledged Big Jim. I'm sorry, but that was freaking hilarious. I don't know if they intended it to be that funny, but it came off really funny with the Big Jim stuff. But basically, the conversation that we had in the opener was Roman Reigns is not happy with the way things are going right now. Everything has been taken away from them. They're no longer the guys that are on top, that had all the respect from everybody, that had all the belts. The bloodline has completely fallen, right? And Jimmy suggests, getting some help, and he suggests the person that they could ask for help, and he suggests Jey Uso. But Roman Reigns is like, no yeet. Well, Robbie, what'd you think of this portion?
Jimmy did not suggest Jey officially, did he?
He insinuated. I think everybody knew. Yeah, he insinuated Jey Uso. Yes, we're filling that in, filling in the blanks here.
But no, I thought that was great. I thought, especially like at the very last words uttered on the show too, when you get to that part. But starting off, that's your natural. When he says, we need some help, what's your first thought when you see Jimmy Uso say that? Jey, it's got to be Jey. It's got to be Jey. And you know how hot Jey is right now, right? Like Jey is at the peak of his powers. He probably will never be more popular than he is at this very moment in time. The crowd realizes that too. They get to the yeet. They participate in the whole thing. And then Roman with the perfect deliveries, like no yeet, which is a callback to a great, segment on the show in the past, and just a good line in and of itself. And I like the fact that Roman has been able to keep some of the condescension with his babyface character, where, yeah, we know he's the good guy now, but he hasn't totally lost that like tribal chief arrogance and Big Jim, those kind of things, the facial expressions when, how dare you possibly suggest this to me? Those sort of things. So I thought that worked well, because it's what the fans actually want. Everybody wants to see that. The pop is going to be crazy when Jey Uso inevitably winds up rejoining with Jimmy and Roman, whatever the moment is they need him most for.
And you're right, by the way, just because he's more of a babyface now, that doesn't mean that he's going to be on board with this yeet. Like Roman Reigns has always been anti the yeet stuff. He's always been team no yeet. Damn, Robin, even I switched. When this whole yeet stuff started, I was like, oh, I don't care about the yeet stuff. But then it freaking stuck. It stuck in my head to the point where I'm now yeeting all the time too. But in the beginning, I was team Roman. I was like, no freaking yeet. I don't like that stuff. And now look at me. I'm yeeting everywhere.
You can't stop eating.
Exactly. But let's talk about what went down at the end of SmackDown, because this goes with the bloodline stuff. So we had Solo Sikoa versus Jimmy Uso. Really wasn't like a sparks-filled match. It was just whatever, it's the match itself. But what I personally found the most interesting was what happened afterwards, because afterwards we see Jimmy Uso get attacked by members of the bloodline. So of course, Roman Reigns goes out there to help him out. However, he's also outnumbered, and that's basically the moral of the story of what we got here today. Like, yeah, Roman and Jimmy are reunited, but at the end of the day, they are still outnumbered, and they still need more people if they're going to take on the bloodline. And we see freaking Roman Reigns get Samoan spiked. So now it's a matter of, I think, Roman sort of putting his pride aside, because him not wanting to go and ask Jey for help. I think he's going to have to, we're going to be seeing Roman set his ego aside, start to make some changes maybe within himself to go and end up asking for help. I don't know, because that's kind of that's what I took away from what we saw today.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what distinguishes it from the same bloodline beatdown finish we've seen 1,000 times, right? Like, if it had just been a bloodline beatdown finish, you'd say, all right, we're okay. What episode is this? Is it today's date, or is it, October 11th of last year? And that's something that we've seen a lot. But because of what we were talking about at the beginning, and then the thread at the end, and your astute point of view of the numbers game, they're just simply outnumbered. They also referenced the tribe without it, or the chief without a tribe again, which, if you remember, was the Cody Rhodes line before he won. So there's a lot of little subtle callbacks to things that show you the care with which they put because there may not always be perfect, but there's a lot of care put into the product and the journeys that many of these characters are on because of those callbacks. And yeah, what was the last thing that Jimmy said? We need help, or something to that
he
effect.
said that he had always like believed in him. I'm sorry. That he was the only one who still acknowledged him as a tribal chief. That's what it was. Yeah.
But that was in the first, but I think at the end of the show, he said when they were beat down, we need help or something.
Oh, I missed that part.
Yeah,
at the very end. Okay.
Michael Cole said it on the broadcast because he had heard it, and then he repeated it. Jimmy said that to Roman. Those were like the final words as they went off the air.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much like the big thing to take away. Like Roman Reigns is going to have to find some way to get help if he really truly wants to defeat Solo Sikoa. He's got to get his tribe back. He's got to get his bloodline re-going once again. But then again, Jey Uso right now is killing it on a whole other show, doing his own thing. So I think there's a place where you can sort of see Jey Uso coexist as both Jey Uso Yeet version of what we're seeing, but Jey Uso also being a guy that can go out there and help out the bloodline at some point.
War Games and Survivor Series, right? Those are the events that are tailor-made for those sort of things. And it doesn't mean you have to put what Jay's done as a solo person on the back burner. He just coming in for these specific big matches that require a lot of people. And again, I think Sami Zayn's going to be a part of it too. I think it only makes sense when they do eventually bring Jay back to then bring Sami back, because it was always Jay and Sami in the first place. Like that's where that started from. So I think you'll get that, especially if you're looking at so you've got Solo, you've got Jacob, and you've got the Tongas. So you need 4 on the other side. That would be Roman, Jimmy, Jay, Sami.
I love it. Let's see what we end up getting. I mean, at some point, here's the thing. Like, I feel, well, first of all, the Sami era of the Bloodline story that we've been seeing was my favorite. Like, the Sami stuff was, for me, it was the best part of this whole entire timeline. And I feel like after, right now, Sami's dealing with all the Gunther stuff, right? But there's no really, like, clear direction afterwards that I can recall of where Sami's going afterwards. So I can see him sort of circling back to that. So we'll see. All right, we got Bailey Darley here who says Roman needs to yeet. Dude, I just thought about it, Bailey. The moment that Roman finally does the yeet is going to get a massive pop.
Yeah, that's going to be something we'll remember for the rest of our lives.
It's going to be kind of weird though, right? Because that's like not in Roman Reigns' personality.
Well, is it going to be a reluctant yeet or an enthusiastic yeet? That's the prediction you have to make.
It has to be enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic. So he's not like yeet. It's going to be a full on yeet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm expecting long pause, turning his head, making those facial expressions, and then finally us hitting us with a yeet. That's the way it's got to happen, man. We got John Taylor here who says, do we consider a complete babyface bloodline include Jay, the Wise Man, and Sami? So I think that's a lot more of, Robin, of what you considered for what you saw of this new version of the bloodline being.
Yeah, the interesting part is Heyman, because he's been out for a minute now. They've really sold that. And has he ever done a face character?
I feel like he has. Yeah. So there's somebody here with a way better memory will tell us here.
I mean, in a sense, he sort of did it with ECW, like I guess as the promoter. But I mean, even with Brock,
depends on who you ask.
Yeah, yes. But as far as to the fans in that convention center, but when you're talking about this iteration here, there's Brock, Punk, and Roman, right? Is there anybody else?
Brock, Punk, Roman. I think that's it.
Yeah. So the spin, all I'm saying is the spin he puts on it will be, he's going to kill it no matter what he does. He's just too good a performer and takes it too seriously. But you almost forget about him because he's been gone for so long and he's not an in-ring performer. So how they bring him back will be, that'll be another moment. They've got a lot of moments that they can still drop on us.
Paul Heyman enters the Royal Rumble at number 30. Just kidding. We got Stephen Marchulli here who says, how about Sami and KO being on opposite sides in the Bloodline Civil War match at War Games Survivor Series? So Sami and KO being on opposite sides. Well, basically, based on what we've been seeing with KO, I mean, I don't think he'll be like joining the Bloodline or anything like that. And the Bloodline doesn't necessarily need him. So maybe not. But I mean, we've seen Sami and KO on opposite sides like a million times.
Yeah, I mean, I had thought about that actually before, but it just makes what even if you have KO, I'm sorry, turning, it doesn't make any sense even for a turned KO to align with the bloodline, considering the history there, unless there was some sort of specific incentive involved where it benefited him, because otherwise it just seems like a strange thing to do.
Justin Taylor here says, no love for the wise man's greatest client, Curtis Axel. Bro, I had completely forgotten about any of that. All right, so let's see what else we got here. Also, congratulations here. Sheldon Jackson just notified us that the Dodgers went 2-0 and advanced to the NLCS.
There they go. They've got the Mets then. Dodgers and the Mets.
Nice. All right, let's keep it going here. I want to get into let's get into the Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes stuff, since we've touched on quite a bit about Kevin Owens. So as we all know, at Bad Blood, shit went down. There was a whole little video that was captured of KO and Cody basically going at it in a parking lot. And so we weren't expecting to see Kevin Owens out here tonight. And just as the women's tag team match was about to start, Kevin Owens runs out there, interrupts the match, and before you know it, he's coming face to face with Cody Rhodes, and security's keeping them apart. Randy Orton gets involved, and they end up in a situation where Randy punches Kevin Owens in the face because Kevin Owens was getting so aggressive and trying to break through and get to Cody Rhodes. So Randy punches him. Kevin Owens is completely shocked. Fast forward to a backstage segment, and we have Kevin Owens jumping Randy Orton in the parking lot. So how'd you feel about how all of this sort of played out?
I liked it because again, like I said at the beginning, KO has snapped but hasn't realized that he's snapped, and is frenetically doing this stuff, not maliciously doing it in a sense. His justification will be interesting when he officially cuts that promo. They sort of teased it tonight when he's grabbing the headset and grabbing the microphone. But involving Randy, I guess I hadn't even thought about it. I should have, because those guys have been involved before. But when KO did the parking lot thing on Cody, I didn't think about Randy's aspect of it. And what I like about that is I don't know what Randy's end game is going to wind up being throughout that process.
You don't trust him. I don't fully trust him in this scenario. I almost thought for a second that maybe this was something that was planned between KO and Randy, that maybe they have cooked up some sort of ruse and a front for Cody Rhodes. I don't trust Randy right now.
Well, he hears voices in his head, right? I mean, he told Cody to get on the butt. Why was he so worked up about making sure that he handled it? That's number one. And then two, what I said about before earlier in the show, the care that they've put in some of these things. They've done, I think, at least 2 shots of Randy taking a hard look at Cody's title belt when they were involved in various programs together. So that's the seed of this that is most intriguing to me. Is okay, we get it. On the surface, Randy Orton is an ally of Cody Rhodes and now a reluctant enemy of Kevin Owens. But I feel like there's another turn with Randy Orton in this saga somewhere. Otherwise, why introduce him?
Right. I almost feel like, again, I'm not trusting him. I'm wondering if this is his way of maybe, I don't know if he's trying to screw Kevin Owens, or if he's trying to screw Cody Rhodes. And right now, or both, right? Or both. It could be a scenario of both. And I think that's where we're headed, because right now he's acting like the peacemaker. He's acting, even what's his face said, oh yeah, like you are all of a sudden hearing reasonable, like you're the one that's being reasonable in this situation. And it's like, what? Like Randy Orton and reasonable, that's not something we're used to, right?
No, the Viper, Apex Predator, all these Legend Killer, all these things, like RKO out of nowhere. It's not RKO that's been pre-planned. It's not RKO that gets sent with a calendar invite. It's RKO out of nowhere.
A Google invite. Here's your RKO. It's coming at 11:10 today, everybody. I'm sure some people would be like, I'm ready for my RKO. Oh my gosh. All right. But no, you're right. So the point is, we're not trusting Randy Orton currently at this moment. All right. So we do got another super chat. This is from Sleaze Boy, who says, if Bobby Lashley joins AEW, and since Leo Rush is in AEW, have Leo manage him so he can talk about Lashley's glutes in 2018. I have a feeling that Lio Rush will not be part of the Hurt Syndicate, specifically because of the whole situation, Lio Rush and Bobby Lashley in WWE. I feel like AEW might want to stay away from that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're gonna do Bobby Lashley right too, I mean, I wouldn't play up the comedic stuff right off the bat because you want to sell him as a badass. I think the question with Bobby Lashley has always been for me, does he have the charisma, the mic skills to pull off certain things? Because the guy's got the damn look. I mean, you can't have a better look than Bobby Lashley has. So how they tweak the character and the presentation and the spin will be interesting to watch to see just where it can go. But I don't think leaning into any silliness is the move with him, at least in the beginning stages.
No, and based on what we've been seeing on Dynamite, it feels like when MVP confronted Prince Nana, he made sure to put over Swerve Strickland, right? But the person that he kind of buried was Prince Nana. So he's basically making it seem like Prince Nana is too unserious. He's not serious enough to be with Swerve Strickland. And so I think that right there kind of tells us what version of the Hurt Syndicate you're going to be seeing. And that is a serious version of them where they're, wanting to get gold, where they're going to come in and look really great in their suits and they're going to mean business. No playing around, no screwing around. We're here to accomplish things in AEW. So that's the vibe that I get so far, just based off of how MVP interacted with Prince Nana, twice already. So yeah. Sleaze Boy, thank you so much for sending this in as well. We appreciate you. All right, so let's see, where are we at? All right, we kind of just wrap things up with KO, Cody, and Randy. So I want to go ahead and get into the Nia Jax, Naomi stuff that led into the Tiffany Stratton, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley. There's a lot here. So let me just run through what we saw. So Nia Jax kicks things off with her and Tiffany Stratton in the ring. And she basically tells Tiffany, after I beat Liv Morgan and I become the Crown Jewel champion, you can then go and cash in the briefcase on Liv Morgan. But the way that she does so, Robin, it's so rude. She even grabbed her head and started doing a little noogie on her head. She was being so nasty and so not letting Tiffany Stratton be her own person and make her own decisions, right? That's what we've been seeing from Nia Jax. And so we got that element of it. Naomi comes out and reminds Nia Jax that she defeated Tiffany Stratton last week or 2 weeks. No, it was last week, right, Robin? Last week defeated her, or 2 weeks ago, defeated her in a match on SmackDown. And so you got that portion of it. Naomi challenges Nia Jax, and surprisingly, Nia Jax says yes to this match. It's non-title, but before we can get to that, Liv Morgan, Dominik, and Raquel, they all go out there and they watch this match. Liv Morgan helps Naomi win this match because she hits Nia Jax with the Money in the Bank briefcase after they had taken out Tiffany Stratton. So you get that portion. Naomi ends up getting a big win over Nia Jax. Again, non-title. Fast forward, just as we're seeing Liv, Raquel, and Dominik make their way out after all of the drama they caused, Rhea Ripley comes out and she attacks Raquel Rodriguez, gets her hands momentarily on both Liv and Dom. Believe it or not, this all happened in one segment. Robin, begin wherever you want with that because there was a lot in there.
Well, generally, that would be too convoluted and wouldn't work. Generally, when you're trying to connect so many things at once, it usually doesn't work out. I thought this was one of the exceptions to that. I thought it worked brilliantly because it helped every participant involved. We were talking about it the last show we did, Naomi. All right, what's up next for her? She's sort of been toiling away. She gets a big win over Nia Jax. At this point, a pin on Nia Jax, no matter the circumstances, 1, 2, 3, is a big win. Nia Jax doesn't lose anything in that process because of the way it all went down. Meanwhile, it ups the ante for Crown Jewel, the first Crown Jewel where we're seeing these new rules. And it only makes sense for Liv Morgan to want to cost Nia Jax to get in Nia Jax's head ahead of that match. So that part of it makes sense as well. Tiffany, it has been frustrated in how she's, dealing with Nia and how she's going to get to the Money in the Bank. We've seen her pump fake it a little bit, so that's still in play. And then Rhea Ripley. I don't recall. I can't remember the last time Rhea Ripley made an appearance on SmackDown.
If she has, it's been a while, a very long while.
So I was legitimately caught up by surprise when that happened, but it ties back to Bad Blood and Raquel making her return there and protecting Liv and Dom and Rhea being so mad. She needs to come out and, get revenge for everything that's transpired, not just there, but on Raw over the course of however many episodes. So I thought they nailed basically every aspect where no one came out looking worse. Everyone came out unscathed or elevated, and all the stories that you wanted to advance and the importance of events that you wanted to garner were successful.
Oh man, yeah, exactly. All of the stories are moving forward, but speaking specifically, like, I loved the brief match that we got with Nia Jax and Naomi. There was a moment where Nia Jax literally just like put her hip right on Naomi's head, right on the ring post, and you just hear this like loud boom, this loud clash, and I thought that was it got a reaction out of me. Let's just say that. I love that. I love Naomi doing the splits on Nia Jax's face. I love the stuff on the outside. I thought this match was so much fun, and like you said, any other time, this would be super convoluted. All of these, different portions of the story would have felt like too much, but I thought everything came across very nicely. I can't wait to see Tiffany Stratton make up her own mind and come after Nia Jax. To me, it feels like Crown Jewel might actually be the moment where we really do get to see Tiffany Stratton's cash in. Just based off with the promo that we got here today, it made me feel like that's when it's going to happen. But then again, I did think it was also going to happen at Bad Blood. So maybe this time, Crown Jewel, it actually will happen. You know what? Okay, so she's tried. All right, we're just talking. We were mentioning baseball earlier. 3 strikes and you're out. Okay. One time Tiffany tried to cash in at SummerSlam, right?
Yeah.
Then she tried again at Bad Blood. The next one will probably be Crown Jewel. She can't strike out 3 times.
Well, and the dynamics of the Crown Jewel match are kind of intriguing for the cash in because it's a whole different thing that's going on there. So I can see that for sure. And I think it deserves to mention again just how great this has all been for Nia Jax and where she feels in like the hierarchy of things right now. And then the fact that there are so many different players that are involved in the storyline. And it's cool to see the Raw and SmackDown rosters come together. I'm one of those ones who's I think when they go to Netflix, they should get rid of the brand distinctions to a certain extent. I think that the talent pool, is so good that you could carry the stories from one show to the next. I think ultimately that's probably the way to go because it's just cool to see. Maybe it's because you don't see it, but to me it was cool to see Liv Morgan and Dominik Mysterio and Rhea Ripley on SmackDown, just like it would be cool to see Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns on Raw or Jey Uso on SmackDown. So maybe I'm on a whole tangent right now, but maybe when the Raw goes to Netflix, that could be the case. Regardless, I think it was effective in this case because you're involving all those people from different shows and you're teasing ahead to what Crown Jewel is going to be, which is a showdown from the champs of the respective brands.
All right, we got some super chats in here, so let's see what the people are saying. All right, we got Sleaze Boy here who says, with WWE and TNA collaborating, bring back Claire Lynch so she can finish her story with AJ Styles. Google it. She and AJ feuded in TNA. All right, I feel like I was just talking about that not too long ago. Oh my God, I was just having this conversation. Literally not too long ago, I was just having this conversation about this, but I'm kind of blanking right now on all the details. But I was talking about this. I think it was with my husband because he really loves AJ Styles and is a big AJ Styles fan. So I know he'll kind of like run me back on the history of that portion. But Sleaze Boy, thank you so much for putting that into my head because I remember it being like a topic at the dinner table. We got Bailey Darley here who says, here is some spare money I have for you, and I'm excited for Mania time. Well, Bailey, I want to thank you so much because as we've mentioned here on the show very many times, you have no idea how far your super chats go, and I know that, you know, it's not easy to constantly be giving, but seriously, thank you so much for sending this in. You know, I appreciate it so much because that just means I'm able to bring people on to the channel, and it just makes it so much better. So thank you so much, Bailey, for that. Truly. We got Dream Ninja 77 who says that Rhea pop, she is just on another level now. Dude, when was it? So Atlanta, Bad Blood. I took my brother with me, and he's not a wrestling fan, so he doesn't really know like anything about wrestling. But it was so funny because as I was teaching him things, it was weird because I was beginning to notice things that I didn't always notice because I was just going with the flow, right? But as I was teaching him things, I started to realize, holy shit, there really are a shit ton of Rhea Ripley shirts everywhere. We went to the superstore and there were so many, like, people took their signs to the superstore for, you know, whatever reason. But there was all these people that had signs like, oh, Rhea Ripley, I'm your new tag team partner, like little stuff like that. And they were the people we were most seeing was Rhea, Cody, Jay, Roman, and CM Punk. Those are the top people that you are seeing in terms of like merchandise or just like fans, you know, getting dressed up and being really passionate about certain performers. And anyways, her pop was one of the biggest of the night. It wasn't as big as like the CM Punk pop because that one was massive. I felt like the CM Punk pop was bigger than the Cody pop in Atlanta too, which is kind of crazy to say. That one was huge. The Cody, Punk, and Rhea, to me, had the biggest reactions, besides The Rock, obviously, because no one was expecting that. But at Bad Blood, those were the people with the biggest reactions, besides The Rock.
Well, I would argue that Rhea Ripley right now is as hot as any female performer has ever been. There's, you know, ones that you could argue against her or slightly above her. The Man era of Becky Lynch, I think, is one that stands out. But right now, Rhea Ripley's up there with any female performer ever as far as how big she feels, how hot she is, how beloved she is, how much juice she has, how much aura she has. I mean, she's carving her face on Mount Rushmore as we speak. You know, whatever she does in the next year or two will determine if she finishes getting her face up there, but she's carving it out as we speak.
We got Alvin White Jr. who says, if not at Crown Jewel, when does Tiffany cash in? Like, I'm telling you, man, I thought it was going to happen like SummerSlam Bad Blood. It's got to happen at Crown Jewel now. Come on, like, there's got to be like a reason for us to tune into Crown Jewel, okay? And that could be a reason right then and there.
And they've involved the briefcase too much for it not to be soon. You know, usually, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it feels to me like it's been used in the stories too much. It's been introduced kind of as a character. So that means they're going to utilize it sooner rather than later, rather than just having her walk around with it, but not actually, you know, it being used for a weapon or being pump faked or any of that as one of those long Money in the Bank teases.
So one of the things that I did notice as well, and this is from Well-Rounded Leo here, and thank you for reminding us to mention it here on the post show, that it was a really good touch that Kevin Owens was wearing a Dusty Rhodes t-shirt. It's like, come on, like you're out here fighting with Cody and you're wearing his dad's shirt. That is a good little heel touch in my opinion.
What did Rock say? Did you see his Instagram promo after Bad Blood? He was live on Instagram after Bad Blood, and he was walking around the backstage, and he walked past one of the trucks that had Dusty Rhodes' face on it. And he said something like, American Dream, love you, hate your son.
That's great, man. That's so great. I love that. It's funny because it's like, yeah, it's such a good way to be like, oh yeah, I love you, Dusty, but hate your son. I think it's good stuff, man. And like, what is Cody gonna do? Like, Cody's gonna obviously be upset, but at the same time as his father, so he's gonna like people respecting his father, obviously. But it's just good stuff. All right, we got Jay here who says Rhea Ripley is starting to sound like Christian begging for one more match. Also Dominik distracting Rhea while Raquel pulls Liv out of the ring. Love it. It's so funny because no matter what, Liv and Dominik always find a way to like get away, except when Rhea had Dominik like a human piñata, by the way. That was the only time it didn't work out too well for him.
Yeah, they are dastardly individuals. For sure.
they really are.
They figure their way out of these things, those rascals.
But seriously, I do want to see we are going to see Rhea and Liv for that one more match. Like, it's going to happen. I'm assuming it's going to happen at War Games and at Survivor Series. I keep wanting to call Survivor Series because you know how it's Survivor Series War Games. I keep calling it War Games instead of Survivor Series.
I think they might put Raquel in front of Rhea first.
Possibly.
You know why else is she back as this heavy presence, and Liv will sort of, cowered behind her, and they'll put Raquel out there and make Rhea have to go through Raquel to get to Liv one more time, and then she gets to Liv.
Yeah, because they have history too, Raquel and Rhea. So I feel like that, like their match at NXT, I remember loving that match. Oh, they did such a good job, especially because they're both so similar in their physiques. They're tall girls. They got great arms, great backs, all of it. They're definitely flexing. They look great. But no, I do love what I had seen from them in NXT, and God, Rhea has changed so much since then. Unfortunately, Raquel, was out for quite a while, so she hasn't had that same growth. But I think for the longest time, I remember when we saw Raquel go from NXT to the main roster, I was expecting to see a similar growth for Raquel in terms of like her becoming a big star, because again, it's not every day that you see somebody out there that's built like Raquel or built like Rhea. So they tend to, find a good amount of success. So yeah, of course, Rhea's a totally different person now from the last time she wrestled her. And that's what I'm really interested in. But Jay, thank you so much for sending in the super chat. I appreciate you. Also, Chad Bad One just became a brand new member of the DWO. So thank you so much for joining the channel. All right, so there's just been so much here to get into. All right, now we're going to rewind a little bit to some of the topics we haven't discussed yet. Really quickly, we got LA Knight versus Carmelo Hayes for the U.S. title. This match finished a lot sooner than I expected. I think I was expecting a little bit of a lengthier match, but I think given how much we got on SmackDown today with all of these backstage segments, in-ring segments, everything that we saw, it kind of made sense why this match was a little bit brief. But LA Knight wins with the BFT, and Andrade was there at ringside. So even though we could have gotten more out of this was fine.
I continue to be impressed with LA Knight in the ring of late. The springboard elbow drop that he does, and the BFT looks good when he's hitting it every time. So I think has put in the work or gotten more confident or something. Not that this match is anything to write home about, but I did notice, okay, when I'm watching him now, I'm feeling less and less that it's all about the gimmick in the LA Knight. Yeah. And I'm buying more and more him in the ring as a champion.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel like I started to notice that maybe like the last month and a half. I feel like we have seen not even a change in LA Knight, but just more like an alteration. Like he's just tweaked a little bit more to interest fans more from an in-ring standpoint. And I feel like that's something that he definitely needed. So I'm on board, man. This was fine. That's why part of me was like, damn, I kind of wanted to see more of this match with the LA Knight and Carmelo Hayes, because Carmelo Hayes can really go, and that could have been something special, but it's fine. It was what it was. The other topic that we have not gotten into is Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson getting a huge opportunity on SmackDown to take on Bianca and Jade Cargill. So this was announced on NXT because Bianca and Jade went out there to help out Kalani. They had Kalani's back during the whole Fatal Influence thing. And then they ended up having a backstage segment where they were confronted by Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. Now, Robin, how often do you watch NXT? Are you familiar with NXT, or are these people like totally new to you?
I know who they are. I won't say I'm avid, but I've definitely watched and do watch and have seen them, and particularly Lash Legend.
She's the one. I was about to say that. She's really the one that Jakara Jackson has sort of not had like really like a breakout moment just yet. She has sort of been in the shadows of Lash Legend, but Lash Legend, she has, in the last couple of months, things have slowed down for her drastically, but I think it was maybe at the tail end of last year. I thought she had a pretty good couple of months because she had some like really explosive moments. The real big one was like her lifting up Otis, like that got a huge reaction. And then she sort of got involved. Well, she's dating Trick Williams in real life. And so they kind of started to tell that little romantic story on NXT, but then afterwards, once we started to get Ethan Page and Shawn Spears and all of these other guys, and we finally had a direction for Trick Williams to go into, they dropped the stuff with him and Lash Legend, but they haven't really done anything with Lash Legend since then. Like, she's just been sporadically appearing on the show, but it hasn't really been in any major matches since, or like any big moments. So this felt like a lot of time went by until we finally got to see this big opportunity for Lash Legend. And Jakara Jackson, I feel, sort of reaped the rewards from this too, because of her partnership with Lash Legend as being part of Metaphor.
Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes maybe at the end of an NXT run, I'm sure it varies with each, but if you're planning to put somebody up in the big show, maybe there's less involvement on the NXT show, just because that's the next endeavor for them. And why put them on this show if you don't have future plans for them on the main roster? I mean, it's my understanding that NXT is doing really well on CW, and since the move, and it has been flourishing, and I see Sean getting a ton of credit and all that. But I would imagine we're seeing Lash Legend specifically, if not both of them, but her in particular, on WWE. Well, NXT is WWE programming, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
SmackDown or Raw, main roster programming sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no, I think Lash Legend, if they keep if they sort of restart, if they pick up where they left off with Lash Legend, I do think they have something there with Lash, because I think she can be like, I was talking to Jordan Grace. I was doing an interview with Jordan, and one of the people that she mentioned right away of her being impressed by someone on the NXT roster, it was Lash Legend. And she talked about her size, because she's so tall. Like, she's so tall. And so that quickly, is an attention grabber, and she's strong too. So I feel like they definitely have something there. So I do hope they pick up where they left off with Lash Legend. But other than that, I think that's it. We covered all of SmackDown here today. Dane, I'm telling you guys, today was a good show. They gave us a lot to get into here today. Robin, before we go ahead and break out for the rest of the weekend, tomorrow, myself and Reg will be here live for another watch along. It's Wrestle Dream tomorrow. So we'll be here watching the pay-per-view, hanging out, talking about that, doing our post show. And then next week, we're back to our normal slate again of shows, with going back to our normal schedule with Raw watch along. I'll be here. Tuesday, I'll be here with Chinadu. Wednesday, I'll be here with Reg. And then, of course, on Friday, I'll be here with Robin to talk some SmackDown. But Robin, I know that you were at the WNBA finals, I think.
Yep.
Or the playoff
I was at the WNBA finals. That was last night. I was.
Yeah, it's on your post. I was like, oh my. Well, I don't know what's going on, but I was wondering. I was like, when's he getting that Caitlin Clark interview?
Well, she's not in the finals, unfortunately. But I was in Brooklyn. Great game, unbelievable game. But I didn't get home till like 2 or 3 in the morning. I'll be back there on Sunday, because they're in Brooklyn again for game 2. I'm credentialed for the finals. And, go check out the YouTube channel. Check out Women's Fast Break on SI, which is the women's basketball website I'm running. And Denise, that did you hear what happened with Taylor Swift and the fans?
What part? What part are we talking about?
In the women's basketball sphere, in that world.
No.
Okay, so real quick, because I know you'll be interested in that. Angel Reese, have you heard of her?
Yes.
Okay. She's the other, well, not the only other rookie, but was the chief rival of Caitlin Clark in college, and it was positioned that way in the pros. She has a podcast called Unapologetically Angel. And she's brought on a lot of guests that would seem to be brought on for the purposes of grabbing attention. One of them was Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriend.
Oh, yes, I did see this. I saw that I read the headline that she was being bullied by people. And honestly, I saw the headline and I kept scrolling.
Okay. Well, she basically was talking. They were spilling the tea on Travis Kelce. And then the Swifties got all pissed off. They're like,
why are you say anything bad? Like legit bad?
I mean, she was just talking about like how, he used to want to go 50-50 on a bill. And Angel threw in a little line like, I liked you two guys together, like that kind of thing. So the Swifties got all into a shitstorm, and they were swarming around the podcast. And then the Swifties find this old tweet from Caitlin Clark, who expressed her admiration for Taylor Swift. It must have been when she first started dating Travis Kelce, because it said Chiefs Kingdom underneath of it, because apparently Caitlin Clark is a Chiefs fan. So all the Swifties decided to get back at Angel we're all going to go become Caitlin Clark fans. So like, it's just all a bunch of online nonsense.
Well,
It's not a real story.
Caitlin Clark I had known she was a fan of Taylor because when Taylor endorsed Kamala, she
Liked the
went and
post.
she liked the post, and then Caitlin Clark got a bunch of hate for that.
Yeah.
So I had seen right off the bat, I'm like, oh, she's a Taylor Swift fan if she's out there liking Taylor Swift's Instagram posts. But oh yeah, you don't want the Swifties on your bad side. It's not good. It's not good.
We're just gonna have to get the like Beehive involved and make it a big Royal Rumble.
No, but I had seen the headline, but I thought I don't want to. Here's my reaction to that. When I saw that, I thought, why do I want to read the thoughts of the ex-girlfriend? Like, we don't know what happened between them, so why should I care? I feel like Taylor Swift is smart enough to make her own decisions and be with somebody that she likes because she knows who he is. So I don't necessarily I didn't want to see what she had to say about him. Like, I didn't care for that because I'm like, Taylor Swift's happy. Let her be happy.
No, I mean, the only reason to bring her on is to say something about Travis Kelce.
Right. That was really probably the only reason, right? Because I don't know what the girlfriend did before that. Like, what is she known for? Is she a model? Like, what'd she do?
I don't know. Maybe she hosted some stuff or something. I don't know.
We don't even know.
I know her for being Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriend.
I don't even know her name. But the second you said it, I was like, oh yeah, I did see that in the headlines.
I did know her name earlier today, but I don't anymore.
That's terrible. Okay, well, I'm glad. I had no idea that has spawned from a women's basketball podcast. I had no idea that's where it came from.
Yeah, that's
so funny. We got a super chat here from Toby, and I gotta agree with Toby. He says, I miss Charlotte. I can't wait till Charlotte comes back. I know she's always been super active on social media, so I've been keeping an eye on that. Alexa Bliss, same thing. Just today, she posted on her Instagram story that she's also, going to be returning soon. So, I mean, that's something that we've been expecting for a while. Obviously, she's a new mom. She's working on some other projects too, doing like voiceover work and whatnot. But the fans have also been wanting to see Alexa Bliss. So hopefully we get to see Alexa and Charlotte, some familiar faces, some familiar favorites back on the show. Thank you so much, Toby. All right. So, guys, with that being said, that's a wrap here for the SmackDown post show. Robin, what do you got going on?
I think I just said it all.
Well, I know, but I kind of like sideswept you.
No, it's cool. Check out Robin Lundberg channel on YouTube, Women's Fast Break on SI. Follow me on all the social media. Like I said, I'll be at the WNBA finals on Sunday. And I got to find out when SummerSlam tickets go on sale because that's in my backyard and my son keeps asking me about it.
I think something's going on sale in November. October is WrestleMania tickets go on sale.
November's the Rumble.
So November's Rumble. Yeah. So it's like, dude, like back to back. If you're planning on going to WrestleMania and Royal Rumble, like you got to be like ready because there's a month apart. You got to buy your tickets. It's kind of nuts.
But SummerSlam's at MetLife and tonight. It'll be the first two-night one.
Yep. Oh, man, it's going to be good. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us back here tomorrow for Wrestle Dream. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a great weekend. Bye, everyone.